Rocket Stone Miners, I'm your host, Get Good Fox, and welcome to this week's Deep Dive Plus Elite Deep Dive Walkthrough Guide. This is for the week of June 1st through June 7th. Now, I've already been through all of the dives, so what I'm going to do is show you what I did to overcome them so you can bring all 6 of those Matrix cores home. Overall, as a preview, I would say these dives are easier than average. The Deep Dive, I would mainly focus on quality of life and speed, and for the Elite Deep Dive, I would say it's mainly a toolkit kind of mission, and by that I mean if you bring the right equipment, it actually should not be too bad because the fighting really isn't that intense. As a quick reminder though, you can catch me playing live in the deep dives on Thursday on Twitch at Get Good Fox, but let's go ahead and get started beginning with the deep dive. Right, so this week our deep dive occurs in the salt pits, which I would say is probably a good thing because it is a fairly peaceful biome. You really only have to deal with those Coronar younglings as a unique threat, so overall, glad to see it here. Mission 1 is a difficulty of Hazard 3. You're going to be collecting 6 alien eggs, which will cause 2 swarms to attack. You'll also need to collect 150 Morkite while dealing with this mutator, regenerative bugs. This will cause the bugs to heal their life over time if they go undamaged. Now, my tip here is that this is actually a very basic, straightforward mission. It's basically like doing a Hazard 3 egg mission or a Hazard 3 Morkite mission. Not a whole lot to it. The terrain is somewhat uncooperative, but it shouldn't be a big deal. The main thing though is if you want to have fun, I'd recommend taking Beastmaster because after you mind control the Glyphids, they will still benefit from regenerative bugs, meaning your Steve will heal itself. On to mission 2 though, difficulty goes up to Hazard 3.5. So your objectives now are to collect 7 quarks as well as 2 alien eggs. One of those will create a swarm, and since this is a point extraction, nothing stops the egg generated swarm to just stack right on top of the standard swarm generated by the point extraction. There's also a mutator in effect, which is lethal enemies. This means that the enemies do double their melee damage, but only melee damage. It doesn't apply to their stomping attacks, any of their projectile attacks, or any of their self-destructing attacks. Now, my big tip here is that the map does feature a very large ledge with the quarks down below. It's so large of a ledge that you're probably going to want either a gunner to shoot a zip line or a driller to drill a tunnel up through the earth so that you can get those quarks back to the mine head. If you don't have that, well, it's going to be a bit of a pain because the drop is significant. Do remember that you are playing on a point extraction, so try to complete the mission sooner rather than later. I would say probably by about 4 to 5 swarms at the longest. Also, try to stay together, combine your firepower. That will counter the lethal enemies because if you stay together, you can pressure wash them off of the field and they won't have a chance to start biting your butt. Anyways, let's finish strong in mission 3. Difficulty stays at Hazard 3.5. You're going to be collecting 4 alien eggs, expect 1 swarm, and you're going to knock out a Dreadnought. It is the standard everyday Glyphid Dreadnought. Overall, this is a very simple mission. There really aren't any tricks involved, so the only snag I expect you to deal with is the boss fight itself against the Glyphid Dreadnought. A simple strategy for taking out this kind of a boss is to have one guy bring weapons that can slow the boss down, and then everybody takes advantage of its slow speeds to beat it up. So, what's an example of a weapon that slows people down? Well, the Corrosive Sludge Pump combined with a Colette Wave Cooker that has a Contagion Transmitter upgrade. That's not an overclock, by the way. Do that, combine them together, and the boss will be super slow. Everyone get behind it and blow it up. Alternatively, if you're playing as Engineer, the Shard Diffractor with the Dazzler module. Once again, that's an upgrade, not an overclock. Just shoot the beam at them, it'll slow them down, everyone can get behind it and blow it up. Shouldn't even be a thing. Okay though, let's move into the Elite Deep Dive. It's going to take place in the Fungus Bog. Definitely not the funnest of biomes. You got the slow sludge on the ground, got the poison puffing mushrooms, and there is going to be a shield disruption in one of these missions, so pretty annoying when the gas is going to hit your health directly. You won't have the shields to protect you, but not in mission 1, which has a difficulty of Hazard 4.5. Objectives are to collect 10 quarks and recover 1 black box. If this is your first black box, it's a simple objective where you just got to find the black box, repair it, and when you do, it'll project a green circle that you need to stay inside until you fill up the bar. If you get outside of the green circle, you lose progress, and if you lose all the progress, then the mission is a failure. Now, my first tip is to do the black box as soon as possible because you are in a point extraction, and the point extraction can summon a swarm wave while you're doing the black box, and that's going to jeopardize the mission. One of the problems with the black box, though, is that it's located near a ledge. ledge, and because it's near a ledge, it means the Glyphids can crawl up the cliff face and then come over the ledge, and when they do, well, they're going to be practically in melee combat with you. That means you won't be able to see them at a distance as easily and blast them and destroy them. Definitely the terrain is going to favor them here. You can counter this by using something like a shield generator to force them back. You can put landmines on the ledge to blow them up as they come around. You can also do something like throw down a lure so that they come over the ledge looking for the lure rather than you. My next step is that, well, there's a giant ledge in the battlefield, and what that means is there are quarks down below. They're going to be a pain to bring up the ledge if you do not have zip lines to carry the quarks up, or a driller who can drill a tunnel up to the headquarters so that you can bring the quarks up. My final tip is, you should look for some nitra. I was able to get to the next mission with about 276 nitra, but do not stay too long. I would say leave after about 4 swarms. If you complete all the objectives and you got an extra bit of time, then yes, go ahead and search for more nitra, but don't stay too long or you'll wind up fighting more bugs than you save in ammo from mining the nitra. Okay, let's move on into mission 2 though. Difficulty is up to hazard 5. Objectives are to protect the drill dozer. You will need to refuel it once. You'll also need to repair 2 mini mules along the way. That's good though because they do give you nitra when repairing them. There's 2 mutators in effect. First, you've got a Swarmageddon. This means you'll be just drowning in swarmers throughout the entire experience. They'll be attacking on a regular basis. You also have critical weakness, which occurs whenever you strike an enemy's weak points. They will take up to 5 times more damage than they would normally. So that is actually really, really strong. It's going to help you a lot here. So as far as tips go, the first thing is you want to bring the right equipment, which I will describe in the actual heart drilling segment. But until then, what you should do is make sure you leave somebody to guard the drill whenever you go explore, because they can attack the drill while you're out mining nitra or recovering the mini mules. Now, when you do get to the Amaran Heartstone to drill it, it's actually not that bad as long as you bring at least 1 engineer and at least 1 gunner. Why? Well, you've got 2 problems. You've got the bugs, especially the swarmers, and then you've got the defenses of the Heartstone, which are the rocks and the beamers. Well, the engineer is great against the swarmers because of the turrets, and if you bring something like proximity mines, you can surround the drill with them and blow up the bugs. It's actually very, very smooth when you have someone like an engineer. Now, the reason the gunner is valuable is because the gunner has a very high capacity weapon that is really good at destroying the rocks because he doesn't have to reload that frequently. In fact, 1 gunner should be able to handle all of the rocks. But in addition to that, the gunner can actually destroy the beamers by aiming at the tip of them. If you've got something like an autocannon and you aim for the tip, you could typically 2-shot the beamers. So in other words, 2 characters can basically handle all or most of the threats that you're going to occur in the defense situation. So I highly recommend bringing those. Now, one thing I will say is that I did use 2 ammo pods to ensure that my turrets were always fully loaded, that everything was good and ready to go. So don't be afraid to spend some of your nitra here. All right, time to finish strong. Mission 3, difficulty is up to hazard 5.5. Objectives are to collect 200 Morkai and repair 2 mini mules. There is a mutator in effect, and this is the big deal. Shield disruption. That means no shielding. I know the community hates this one. So there is a small silver lining here, though, is that you do take 30% less damage from hostile sources. So from any kind of enemy, as well as any type of like hostile land thingy, like the puffing poison gas mushrooms. It doesn't protect you from self-damage, friendly fire, or falling damage, however. Now, here's the good news. The cave isn't very long, so it's not really going to be an endurance mission. The bad news is that there's a Betsy here. Betsy, on a shield disruption, is ridiculously deadly. If it locks onto you with that heavy-duty vehicle machine gun, it's just going to evaporate you. You will die in the blink of an eye. You will die just like the way you kill like Glyphid swarmers or regular Glyphids. Like, it's not going to be pretty. Now, what you want to do is listen for the buzzing sound that Betsy makes. That's how you know she's nearby. And the way to beat her is call in an ammo pod, get everybody ready, get all together, and then you just need to open fire together and then have your gunner throw down a shield generator. The shield generator will let you continue your offense even when the Betsy activates. That's really good because Betsy isn't very durable. Betsy doesn't have too much health. She's kind of like a glass glass cannon, really. And so if you can just knock her out immediately, there is a bit of a wake-up time. Like, once you begin the Betsy fight, she has to actually get up and kind of initialize. There's definitely time there to maybe do half of her health within that time. So definitely do that. If somebody gets down by Betsy, you might not want to revive them, because let me tell you, in the time it would take for you to revive somebody if you don't have an instant revive, Betsy could probably kill you 10 times within that, maybe even more. The firepower on this thing is immense. And even when you do repair the Betsy, it can still kill you because it can fire grenades, and if you're in one of the grenade blasts, well, you're probably dead because there's a shield disruption. That would be my advice for Betsy. If you're really afraid of Betsy, you probably could actually just get around her and not deal with her at all. My final piece of advice, though, would be use your ammo. Anyone who gets to like half ammo, just call another pod in. Hopefully by now you have a few decent quantities of nitro so you can call pods in on a regular basis. Try not to run out of ammo. Like, call in a pod and reload your ammo before you actually run out. You do not want to be caught during a swarm without ammo, so call in the ammo and reload. The last piece of advice is stay together. Shield disruption preys upon disorganized groups. Stay together and don't lone wolf it, and you'll find that this shouldn't be too bad. If you're the gunner, remember that you can absolutely save the team. If somebody goes down, just throw a shield generator on them, get them back up. If somebody's out of ammo and they need to reload, throw a shield generator on the ammo pod, bam, you're the instant lifesaver. Do all of that, though, and you should be good. Okay, then, let's conclude with my Dwarf MVP picks for Deep Dive and Elite Deep Dive. Starting with the regular dive, I'm going to say Driller and Scout MVP characters here, mainly because, well, these dives are actually pretty easy, and so what you really want is quality of life and speed. Driller's gonna let you just swim through the ground, make all the tunnels you want, go anywhere you want. It's gonna be awesome, great for transporting those quarks up the ledge, and when you fight the boss, you've got your sludge pump, you got your Collet wave cooker, slow down the boss, and the Scout will blast its butt. The Scout, on the other hand, just find all the resources, find all the eggs, shoot the light everywhere, bam, it's going to be really easy. You're going to be able to find all the resources, find the objectives, bing, bang, boom, get it done. As for the boss, you got your grappling hook. You can easily get behind the boss, especially if it's slow, and blast it away. Now for Elite Deep Dive, I'm going to go with my standard setup here, the Gunner-Engineer combo. They're really just a match made in heaven for this particular Elite Deep Dive. First off, Gunner, you got zip lines. Going to be great for the point extraction when you got to take those quarks up that big old ledge. You've also got the ability to just obliterate rocks and beamers with your primary weapon, and you can turn so many battles around. If somebody goes down, just throw a shield generator on them and revive them. It's just so good. The Engineer, on the other hand, is going to find a lot of work here because there's so many defensive scenes. You've got a point extraction and you've got a escort mission. Great opportunities for the Engineer to shine, especially because there's swarmers in the escort mission. The turrets are absolutely going to clear the field. It's going to be so good. And if you do have to find yourself in a situation where you got to destroy the rocks, well, you know what? The Engineer isn't that bad at it in general. Engineer, pretty good general everyday combatant as well, so should work pretty well for you. And there you have it. That's what I think about these deep dives for this week. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Remember, you can always catch me on Twitch doing the dives at Get Good Fox, and remember to tune in next week when I've got another walkthrough guide for your old Elite Deep Dive and the regular Deep Dive right here on Get Good Fox. So, like the video if it was entertaining, subscribe for future Deep Rock Galactic content. Of course, remember that you don't have to be good to get good.